So September is Realtor Safety Month, and we wanted to make sure that our Greater Owensboro Realtor Association members were able to hear from us this month regarding your safety. So our partners with Kentucky Realtors and the NAR do such a great job of providing you with some safety tips and different resources for you, but we wanted to have a local connection. We wanted to have a conversation with one of our local law enforcement officers so you all could have that connection, and we're going to go over just a few things for you to keep in mind to make sure that you are always safe when you are out showing properties and when you are meeting with clients. So this is my friend Detective Brad Youngman with the Davis County Sheriff's Department, and we appreciate you being here, Brad.
I'm glad to be here.
So let's go ahead and get into it. So we have a few different things that we've already talked about that we want to make sure that you all know about. So the first thing is to scout your surroundings.
Right, and this is something that police officers do also. When we arrive on a scene, when possible, we try to drive by the location, see what's going on. You never want to get out of your car and then have to deal with a surprise. So I would just suggest that anytime you're showing a house, you do the same thing. Drive by, see who's in the yard, see who's nearby, see if there's anything that doesn't look right. And as you're approaching the house, do the same thing. Like make sure that if there's vegetation or bushes, that there's if there's something that somebody could hide behind, kind of be aware of that, and just check those things out.
You know, we know that this is such a routine thing for you all when you're going to show property, and if you're like me, you're always running down to the last minute, but take a few extra minutes to truly check out your surroundings, and it can really help you out. So let's talk about some safety tools that we have available, and one especially here locally with Smart 911.
Yeah, this is something that we try to get everybody to sign up for whenever we talk to groups, and Smart 911 is really beneficial. What you do is you go to their website, smart911.com. It's a national program, and it will ask you several questions, and what you're doing is you're pre-filling in information. You won't know what your emergency is going to be when you call 911, but a lot of times the phone will get disconnected, or maybe you can't stay on the line, you have to hang up. We'll already know whatever information you gave us. One of the most beneficial things is medical information, especially if you have an elderly person in your family, or if somebody lives by themselves, and they can kind of give that information. So that way, if the phone were to get disconnected, they would be able to tell us, hey, we don't know what the situation is now, but this is what we know in their background. This is what they've already told us.
Yeah, so it's a really great way to kind of take a little bit of time out of that. They also can connect with some emergency contacts that you may have.
Right.
Something that I want you all to be aware of is on your Super app, you have a safety feature, and you're going to love this. So this is no additional fee. It's an alert feature. So actually what you're doing, and it's similar to the Smart 911 program, to where you already have your emergency contacts entered into this alert feature. So you can actually send an alert through your app, and it automatically notifies your emergency contact via text or email. It sends them a Google Map link to exactly where you are at that moment, which allows them to know, hey, I need a little help, come find me. Or when you alert someone, they can contact the emergency services. But this is something, it's no additional fee. It's through your Super app, so if you need help with that, definitely let us know. So, we're at a property.
Okay.
I feel uncomfortable. I feel threatened. What do I do?
Well, what I would do is I would leave if possible. Make sure anytime you go somewhere, make sure you always have a planned way to get out. Don't ever limit yourself to one plan. If possible, always have two. It also helps if you think about these things in advance. We talk a lot about, and you and I have discussed in the past, about trusting your body, trust your instincts, trust the natural animalistic instincts that you're given, when you're born. Especially in Western culture, especially in Owensboro, Kentucky, where nothing bad seems to ever happen. When we have a bad feeling, we just sort of shake it off. We kind of ignore it. That's your body trying to tell you that something's not right. And like I've told you in the past, when you watch a squirrel in your yard, if you make a noise, that squirrel reacts to it. That squirrel's not going to ignore that impulse, and they're gonna get out of there and do what they do. We don't have to take off running every time we hear a noise, just like we're freaking out, but do listen to your body, and when the hairs on the back of your neck stand up, take the time to think about, what am I going to do if there's a problem? Just kind of start processing that information. I don't know what you all do when you get to a house. I'm sure everybody's different, but I would make sure, the exits are unlocked to where if the person you're showing the house to or somebody unexpected comes in the front door, there's a problem, you can turn around off the back without having to unlock a deadbolt and things like that. I would start by saying trust yourself to know when something's not right.
You and I have talked about this as well, especially for females, and we have a lot of female realtors. we feel sorry for people.
That's right.
We don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. We don't want to offend anyone.
Right.
But in this situation, like you said, you trust your gut. When you have a bad feeling, we're concerned about our safety first and feeling second.
That's right. And also add in there, your business. You all are your business. And so I know that a lot of times you have to kind of roll with the punches in order to not get a bad reputation. But when it comes to those really bad feelings, I would, my advice would be work on that later. Take care of yourself first, that you still have a business to worry about.
Right. One thing you and I also talked about is if you're in a situation and you feel threatened, there are several different ways that you can let 911 know you need help without calling and saying, I need someone right now. So what are some things that people can do if they can safely get to their phones and press 911 and call?
Yeah, a lot of the calls that we get at 911 are what we call 911 hang-ups or 911 no response. And that is the phone is rang. We generally have, technology is getting better every day, we generally have an idea of where you're at. It'll tell us an intersection. It may say within 100 meters of that intersection. But if you can dial 911 and maybe you can't talk, but you can just leave the phone in your pocket where the dispatcher can overhear what's going on and you can slip little clues into what's going on, that can be really helpful. What we're going to automatically send officers. We're going to check the area, the best idea of where we think you are. Now, if you've preloaded information in Smart 911, like what kind of car you drive, then, and I could see a situation, this has happened before, where you have an intersection, we know there's an issue within a couple hundred meters, we start looking, oh, hey, look, here's that person's car. You told us they drive a red Toyota, we just found a red Toyota, we run the license plate, it's your car. Maybe you put information there about an ex-boyfriend, an ex-wife, somebody or a stalker or something like that. And then all of a sudden we run the plates around that car and find out, oh, hey, that person's here too. We're going to get more people down there to look for you. So, there are ways to kind of surreptitiously give us information without your adversary knowing. But I would practice it. I wouldn't dial 911 to practice it, but make sure that your body can't go where your mind's never been. So, kind of think about these things. Do you know how to hit 911 like while your phone's in your pocket or your phone's in your purse or something like that? And just try to kind of practice those motions so that when you're under stress, they come more natural.
Basically, to plan ahead. Think through these things in your head. No one wants to be in a situation where they feel threatened or need help, but you want to know what to do if that does happen. And let's talk about post consideration, because I feel like I hadn't thought about this until you and I talked about it.
Okay.
So, what do we do if you think, I'm being followed? Like you've left showing a property and now you think that the person that you were there with is now following you.
Yeah, and this is something that another common call that we get is I'm being followed. I don't know who it is. The first thing I'll tell everybody is just stay calm. Don't just take off speeding because whether they're following you or not, if you run a red light and get hit by a truck, that's not going to help.
Right.
So stay calm, kind of get your wits about you, and remember, as long as your car is moving, they really can't hurt you unless they're really, really aggressive. If you want to make sure you're being followed before you do anything, then Owensboro's a grid town. You can turn left, turn left, turn left. Pretty soon you'll know if you're being followed or not. If you think you are, I would start heading towards the Owensboro Police Department. There's always officers there. The sheriff's office, we're open during the day, but a lot of times at night there's just nobody at the courthouse. But start driving towards the police department. Stay calm. You can call 911, let them know that you're on your way. Tell them I think I'm being followed. They'll probably tell you the same thing. Head towards the police station. They'll start sending officers to look for you. And when you get there, if the person's still following you, then I would pull in that back lot where all those police cars are parked, and I would just lay on the horn. Because whether they know you're coming or not, you're going to get a lot of people back there to find out what's going on pretty quick. If you encounter red lights on the way, just leave yourself an opening. So it's okay. There's a couple things you need to do. We all drive, for the most part, modern cars that when you start going over 50 miles an hour, your door's locked. That's a great thing. Like I said, people can't really get to you while your car's moving, but know what your car does when you put it in park. A lot of times the cars will unlock themselves out of convenience. That can be a problem. So you want to know that before you throw it in park when somebody's coming to your window. You also want to know when you come to a red light, you don't want to get pinned in. So a really safe way, easy way to do that is make sure when you're concerned about that you leave yourself enough room to get out of there. So you're on Frederica Street, you're at 9th and Frederica, there's 4 lanes, there's a car in front of you think you're being followed. When you stop your car for that red light, make sure you can see the tires of the car in front of you. Generally speaking, if you can see those tires on the ground, you have enough room to cut the wheel and get out. So the person behind you decides to get out of the car and confront you, make sure there's nobody coming, and execute that maneuver and get out of there.
You know, one thing else that we talked about, and it was a little bit with the Smart 911, anytime that you call the police department or the sheriff's department or 911 and you're calling to report something, that is now associated with your cell phone number.
That's
So if you feel uncomfortable in any situation, call, put that report in, and that way from that point moving
That's
on,
right.
all of that information is there, and if you need that for any reason in court or anything else, they have that now as evidence.
They like to see that paper trail. That's right.
Brad, thank you so much.
You're
We
welcome.
appreciate you being here. We really want to make sure that you are keeping yourself safe. Also, one thing, when you go out to a showing, make sure someone knows. Make sure someone in your office knows where you are, what time you expect to be finished, and who you're going to meet. Did I leave
Absolutely.
anything out?
Nothing I can think of.
Brad Youngman with the Davis County Sheriff's Department, we appreciate you being here. And we want you all to keep safe, and you can find a lot more resources on your safety through Kentucky Realtors and the NAR.